and Rose. They run our fertilizer and pest control programs. A man who needs a little introduction, Ralph Gerard. Ralph, I think most of you probably do know Ralph by now. He's our account manager for your property. He's here every day, all day. And Carson Matthews, he runs our construction crews, our construction division, and just our general bodyguard in general. Thank you. So I'm sure you all probably know our crews are here every day of the week, 6 days a week, and we maintain all 866 homes. And I was doing some measurements just the other day, and it's actually well over 40 acres of common area in addition to all the homes that you live in that we maintain. Real quick, I just wanted to go over, where we've been in the last 90 days. Like I said, I've been here since middle of May, and it's been a lot of work over the last 90 days, over the last 100 days for sure. Some people in landscaping call it the 100 days of hell, but I think we're past there. So very very wet summer, unprecedented rainfall. I think that you all know that, unprecedented rainfall, by now almost unprecedented drought, right? So a lot of drastic extremes and conditions. That's led to, over the summer, a lot of coordination of schedules, whether it be for fertilizer, pest control, weed control applications, just being able to mow the grass. A lot of jumbling around in the schedules, trying to work through the weather and trying to make it all work, and then trying to time applications of fertilizer, pest control, herbicides to control weeds, especially in the summer. It has been a battle. I think that part of the rain and the wet weather has passed us. Same thing, fighting hedge pruning, ornamental pruning, detail type of pruning on your shrubbery and your bushes has been a challenge with the growth rate for all that rain, and something that I think that we're pretty caught up on now. We're going to get into that. Turf weed control in the turf over the summer months, the last 90 days back, that has been a challenge as well, as I'm mentioning. But I think Jason and his team, now with Michael on board too, have really got that under control for you. And Jason's going to talk a little bit more about that. Jason's going to talk a little bit more about fighting disease and some fungus and disease that has sprouted up because of a lot of areas in your community where maybe the drainage isn't where it needs to be or isn't the best. So there's some areas over the summer months that we're holding a lot of water, that we're never having an opportunity to dry out. So those are some areas that Jason and his team, along with Ralph, have mapped out in order to proactively treat those areas for fungus, and also try to proactively come up with some ideas with Carson's help for better drainage solutions moving forward. Trying to see if I missed anything. I mean, I think that sums it up for where we've been over the last 90 days, over where we've been over the summer. Carson's going to talk a little bit about what some of the plans are, and Jason's going to talk a little bit about some of the plans for the next 90 days.
How's it going, Carson? So this is the time of year that we're going to be going to basically bi-weekly mowing, and also, most of the stuff is going to be slower growing, so that's why we go to the bi-weekly mowing. We will still be here every day of the week. One week we'll be mowing, the next week we'll be doing a little bit of trimming, to kind of keep the property looking good. The property perimeter vegetation cutback that goes around the entire property for the fence line, that has been completed. It's going to be another 2-3 3 months, and then it'll be completed again for 4 times per year. And then the fall rotation of annuals is going to be happening on Wednesday, and we do remove a section of annuals and lay them out here right in front of the clubhouse. If anybody wants to go ahead and pick those up and use those in their own personal garden or their patios, so they don't technically go to waste. So that will be happening Wednesday morning, correct? Or Tuesday?
Tuesday on the removal.
So Tuesday on the removal, so if anybody in the room wants to pick those up, they're free of charge. We just offer that for you guys so they don't get thrown away and get turned into soil. But here's Jason and the chemical department.
So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before I get into my synopsis of this, I would like to say that other than Carson, I'm probably the longest tenured person sitting at this table tonight. And I can tell you that the 1.5 years that I've been with the company and servicing your community, you know, some people see perception is reality. And I can honestly tell you that a few weeks before Ralph got here, I didn't know why we still had this job. And since Ralph has been here, I don't know how any person in this room could say he or she hasn't seen drastic improvements in this property, because it has improved dramatically since Ralph's been here. And I think we all owe Ralph a huge round of applause right now. And with the addition of John coming on as our branch manager and our fearless leader, if you will, he has put the proper pieces in place to move the needle, if you will, for progress that has been made within this branch, including the addition of Oz. I had an irrigation manager here prior to Oz which just kind of touches on the whole fungal issue. Because last year around this time, I was begging for the water to get shut off, because we were continuously spraying fungicides almost to the maximum amounts that are allowed per year, and the fungus was still alive and prevalent, and I was making request after request to have the irrigation shut off. I'd come in here in the morning and there'd be sprinkler heads running everywhere, and I have full vote and confidence in Oz that he has a much stronger level of communication and a much stronger grasp on what his duties and responsibilities are here. So honestly, in the 1.5 years I've been here, this is by far the strongest team that your community has had. And I would dare say probably one of the stronger communities, or one of the stronger teams that John's ever been involved with. So you have a lot of strong pieces here in place. So enough grandstanding to get on to this. We did make our granular fertilizer application midsummer. And I guess much to Ralph's detriment, because he was screaming at me because the grass was growing so fast. He was having a hard time keeping up mowing it. But at least we revived some of the vigor in the turf. We got density to fill in, color came back. Turf, weed, disease, and insect applications as needed. We don't per se do a blanket application in this community because it is such a grand scale. But what we do implement is IPM, which stands for Integrated Pest Management. And the only way that works is if you have a number of eyes on the property reporting to each other what they're seeing. And again, since Ralph has been on this property, that has happened a lot more than it's ever happened before. We're not wasting time spraying areas with products that are just going to harm the environment needlessly. We're actually now starting to put products in place where they're needed to get the most bang for our buck. Ornamental plant and tree fertilization between both October and November, that's key, because this is the time of year that plants, trees, and palms really gain the most benefit from the fertilization program. So that is on the schedule for the months of October and November. Pre-emergent bedweed control application, again, this is the perfect time of the year to be applying that product. But here's the most deadliest of sins, if you will, to get back to the fungal issue. So about a year ago, I had a young lady on Hidden Falls, And she came up to me saying that she had replaced her yard 3 years in a row due to bugs. And I got out there and started doing some investigating and actually looking at what the cause of the problem was. She didn't have chinch bugs or grubs. She had fungus. The fungus or the disease that you guys have on your property is called large patch, which is also referred to as Rhizoctonia solani. So that is, if in the first place, if you're going to feed it with nitrogen fertilizer, you're just exasperating the problem. Secondly, if you're not controlling and really monitoring your moisture or your irrigation, you're never going to win the battle. So what I've done with Michael, who is going to be taking my place here in the short term, Michael and I drove the property last week, and we took a map of the property, and I showed him all the areas that I have identified over the past year and a half that have been prone to this large patch fungus. We do have a technician that's on the schedule every single Thursday. We have a technician on your property, and half of Friday if we can squeeze them in here. But to be honest with you, if having a technician from our department here one day out of every single week, we're going to be ahead of the game before it's too late. So we've identified the areas that are prone to the disease. We're going to share that information with Oz, so he knows where we might want to cut back watering. And it might also be, like John said about, it might also be an area where we need to look at maybe re-identifying some drainage issues. There might be drainage issues in these areas as well. But we are using a systemic and topical fungicide, as well as adding a micronutrient called manganese. We had actually an outbreak of large patch about a month ago or so, and Ralph brought it to our attention. The technicians came out. We applied that process of the two-headed monster, if you will, of Armada, along with the high manganese combo, and within days, he said it had turned around significantly. So I think me being on the property for the past year and a half, it has gained me and my team some expertise, if you will, as to where we know we're going to see problems, and also implementing this IPM integrated pest management, having Ralph's eyes and Oz and even Ralph's crew members out there in the field looking for opportunities for us to take care of them before they get into an infestation, if you will. So with that, I guess I'm going to hand it off to Oz.
Thank you.
Good evening. Again, my name is Walter Flores. Everybody named Oz. And I'm the irrigation manager, like John explained. I'm fully aware that everybody has concerns regarding irrigation and the situation we're facing right now with a lot of areas being down. We're working diligently to get these issues resolved. We've taken, a broad of information. We've had techs out in the field for more than a couple of weeks, almost to up to a month, just investigating every area. The products that we have currently in place are extremely outdated. This whole system out here in this community it's been in for 14 plus years. So the conditions right now, due to weather and all this, they're in their phases where they're going to be a lot more issues that we're going to be seeing, such as the examples we have right now in the field. As far as our continuous weekly inspections, we have techs on site. They never leave the area, and Ralph works directly with them. So any concerns that you guys have following protocol get sent as a work order. Then he follows it up. The tech gets the work order, and we go out in the field and we do what we have to do. Of course, there's a total of 763 zones, 800 plus homes in here. So it's a task to handle each one daily. So, in our defense, if you guys should just understand we're doing our best to get to each and every single one of you guys. We are doing our best, like I said, and we have had experts in the products that we have here in place, as far as having Rainbird experts come out and assess the irrigation controllers and evaluate the 2-wire systems, which, for one, South Shore Falls has probably, out of all the communities I've been a part of, which have been 200 plus, one of the most advanced irrigation systems, which is incredible. It's really designed for golf courses, but with the amount of zones that you guys have and the amount of homes, it's adequately enough, just perfect. Development of plan, with the HOA board, everything again has been presented. The HOA is aware of all the issues, and we have provided solutions for each and every single one of them. This is something that we're working alongside with them and presenting routes that we can take to understand and easily approach these, as everything will be an expense because of the age and all that. But again, we are working with the HOA is fully aware, and please be understanding of that. We are doing our best. Again, with the 2-wire and all that, I don't want to get too technical, but based on the information that we have had up here from the experts, the system is a bit, a bit outdated. Let's just put it that way in a lot of areas. We do have some areas where years back, Down to Earth did install a new 2-wire system, so some areas are okay, but for the most part, as far as valves, solenoids, and decoders, that's where the issues are really coming upon. As far as our system, for those homeowners who tend to don't be impatient with us, so don't go in and start touching the valves because again, these valves are outdated. The solenoids, which is the top of the valve where you actually turn on and off. If we start tampering with those manually, we could break the seal, and then we're going to have a bunch of stuff on valves, which we have had more than just a couple out here. So tampering with the irrigation system is definitely not a good solution to be doing, especially because during the day Ralph is out here trying to deal with weeds and all that stuff, and he's spraying product. And by us going in or requesting to run your irrigation system during the day, it's really just creating more of an issue. For one, we're losing the product. Second, it's just going straight to the lakes, and really no one's winning. So that's a major plus if we could avoid doing that. And pretty much that sums it up for me.
Good evening, everybody. Ralph Gerard, account manager. Real quick on the, I don't even need a mic, I don't know why they gave me one. The work order system. When I first started here on July 1st, there would be 5-6 different issues on every work order. And due to the diligence of Jason and his team, it's really worked out really good. 1 issue per work order. I saw somebody put in 3 today in a row. We were able to take care of 2 today and 1 we're working on. So the more we can keep it that way, it sounds like a lot, but at the end of the day, it's easier to track. So when the work order is generated, an email does come to me and 1 goes to Jason, so we all see that's gonna happen. We're trying to address all work orders within 1 week, 5 working days. I try not to put door stickers on the doors. I like to actually see y'all when we're actually completed. It's actually, I feel like it's better for us when we talk to y'all. And, I think y'all know Willie the most for all the irrigation stuff. Willie always likes to say hi to everybody and let them know that he did what needed to get done. So with door stickers if somebody's not home. Anything that happens, I know we had a couple areas that Roundup got sprayed accidentally. I appreciate the people that put a work order in for that. That's on us, but we can address it that much sooner. So real quick, when I joined in July 1st, I can't tell you how many work orders we were behind on, something almost to the tune of 200. A lot. I've whittled it down to 100, and that's including all the current ones. So my deal with y'all today is, and I talked to John about this, we rode around. I've been a little reluctant to do all the back order ones because it's plant replacements. And as we know, we have an irrigation problem. And the last thing I want to do is put 1 or 2 plants in your property and then try and figure out how to keep those few plants alive. So what I'm going to do over the next 7 to 10 days is go through every one of those issue trackers and at least have a list put together so that once we're really comfortable with where the irrigation is going to be, we can just start putting those plants in for you. So you'll actually see notes. I'm going to add notes to every one of those trackers that I went to your site. Hopefully I'll get to visit with you, see exactly what you need. Some of it's really obvious to me. It's stuff that we planted. And forage Zoras die, good example. That's forage Zoras, that's warranty, that's on down to earth. We'll replace them. But like I said, I really want to make sure that it's in an area that the irrigation's working automatically. If it is, we can do those sooner. But the areas that aren't, we need to really hold off on those until Oz gets a little bit further along. But the issue tracker does, or the work order tracker does work. Please keep using it, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. So I know before we finish up that Jason has a few things that he'd like to say, but I feel really positive about the team here and how far we've come in just the 4 months that I've been here. I know I heard a little snickering that I've been here 4 months, but I do feel really proud of what we've done. I have been a resident down here in South Shore, just like you, for the last 16 years. And so I don't live here, but I live very close to here. And I feel like this is a part of my community as well. And I know a lot of these guys feel that same way. So thank you for having us. We're going to answer some questions after Jason speaks, but thank you very much.
All right, thanks, John. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. I know we all know that there's been a fun summer of dealing with landscaping and the issues that we've had. Kind of the people that are up here when I arrived in March, shortly after John came along, and then Ralph has come along. It's just it is a situation where Down to Earth has made every effort to correct the issues that we've had throughout the summer, between weather and any other issues that came along. They really pushed to find a way to manage that. On our end of it, working with the landscape committee as well as the board of directors, we look at our end too and what we can do to make things work better, to make it better for the community. On the association end, as Ralph was giving his portion of talking about work orders, many of you put in work orders. One of the things we noticed was the communication piece to that. When you have a manager on site who's trying to manage the process of fixing the problem, as well as communicate with you as to what the repair is or what they've done or have done or have not done. A lot of times it's a quick instant get you a message so that they've gotten you a message. And we want to have more communication that's more effective. So we're adding on our end in the office. Those of you know who Judy Amp is, who's worked with us for some time at the desk. She's going to be moving away from the desk probably next week. We're hiring a few more staff members in. Judy's going to be working in the office out in front of mine. She's going to have a couple roles that are very defined. One of those roles is she's going to manage the work order process with Ralph. They're going to work together on it. Judy's going to be the communications end of it. She's going to look at the work orders that come in. She's going to make sure some of those work orders we already have answers to. Many of you have a question on a work order about irrigation. We know what's going on with irrigation. If Ralph has to take the time to answer those, he's not fixing the problems that he can most effectively resolve. So Judy's going to send that message to you. She's going to explain the situation. And if you're not satisfied, we'll be able to communicate more with you, but at least we'll get you that initial email that says, hey, we're aware of this issue. This is what's being done to fix the problem. That way it stays off of Ralph's shoulders, who can move to the things that Down to Earth can effectively take care of. Also, like Ralph said when he got here, there were roughly 200 work orders in the system, that some of them were floating there because of one issue begets another issue, and then you have somebody who's upset about that, so they send another work order, which creates a new work order number, which creates the same problem that you had. So you've got 3 of them out there for the same issue. So they've been cleaning through that and trying to get that number down to a reasonable number. We've noticed that the work order numbers coming in each week now are much lower, but we're still, we still have that backlog that we're trying to work through. So we're still got that timeline from the time you send it in to the time we communicate and get on site and take care of it. So we're working through that to make that process cleaner. As soon as I can get Judy to, working up and focused on that, it's gonna improve it as well and help Ralph. So Ralph can be more effective in the field managing this community and taking care of what his job is to do in the field. So hopefully that's gonna be something that's gonna be a big impact on the community and how we take care of it. The rest of the things in the community, we continue to work on. We've had many meetings about it. There's a lot of information on the website, meetings that we've had. The last part of that thing that I wanted to talk about, something that's coming up, is with the Contracts and Compliance Committee. Many of you have heard they're going to do a workshop to where they talk about the different contracts within the community, the major contracts that affect the community. One of them, probably the largest contract in this community, is landscaping. It's the biggest thing that goes on. So they're going to talk about that contract with Down to Earth. Not necessarily Down to Earth's contract, but how that contract is in effect. Because many of the questions we receive, and if we see the social media websites and the things where people make comments about things, we could tell that some of the information, there's a lot of good things on there that people are upset about that we need to take care of, but there are things that we can tell we could better effectively communicate what that is so you understand how it works. And it may have been miscommunication throughout the years, or somebody's just upset and says something a different way. We want to be able to put that information out there so you understand how the contract works. And there's a good group of people putting together that presentation. So I think anybody in the community who is interested in this should take the time to watch that. And it's is that Gary Best is going to head it up? And I think anybody who knows Gary knows when he talks about something, when you're done, you've gotten all the information you can handle, and probably a little bit more. But I think it's going to be a good meeting. I think everyone should take the time to watch that whenever it comes up. But at this time, I'll let you guys ask questions. I'm going to walk around with the mic like I usually do because it keeps me moving. And if anybody has questions, raise your hand, and if you want to ask it to them. Mrs. Cockerham, she's going to be first.
Good evening. I don't have a question, I just have a compliment. I'm a native Floridian, and I really don't know how you guys keep this community looking as nice as it does for the cost that we pay. Because when I lived in Ruskin, just to have somebody come up and mow my yard, they would have charged me $40 a week, and that's no trimming, no edging, nothing. I have never had a work order that wasn't answered. Yeah, it may have been a little late, but truly, you guys do, and the workers, an astounding job for what we pay for. Now, when I walk to my mailbox, do I pull a weed? Yeah, I'm the crazy lady in her pajamas, pulling a weed. But if I want a queen's garden, you would pay a queen's price. You got to do some little things sometimes yourself, But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's all the questions for today. Appreciate you. Just kidding.
Hi, I'm Christine, and I'm just wondering, because I didn't see anything in the presentation, one of the problems that we still seem to have out here happens on the weekends, when we get one of the irrigation things going haywire, and it's running water all weekend. And we can call as many times as we want up here, but it goes until Monday morning.
So I'll answer that question. Somebody put a work order in today from the weekend, and actually went back and forth with them on reply. I found out the number in the scoop and the number on the website were wrong. Yeah, whoops. It is fixed now. Gave it all to Ashley today, and it'll be in the scoop, it'll be right, but on the website, it should be right now. That's the problem, is it was a down-to-earth phone number, but it wasn't for this property. So that problem should be solved.
So what's the number?
I'll give it to you before you leave. But I have it on my phone.
Go ahead and look it up, Paul.
So we can call on the weekend and it's gonna be addressed, or we?
That is the goal, yes. It is a emergency call line, depending on the type of issue it is. Normally, if water's gushing, yes, absolutely, they'll come out and they'll shut it off, because I believe you have access to shut that off. Otherwise-
Yes, just to answer your question, yes, now that I've taken over, I've been working pretty much Monday through Sunday. We do have this on call, and I apologize if this was, somehow missed, but in future, for the upcoming rest of the year and everything pending, any call that you guys make and makes it to my ears, we will respond same day. So moving forward, there is text on calls for Saturday and Sunday as well.
Good evening, my name is Johanna Pol. I lived before in Symphony House. I was on board there. I did have a construction company on Cape Cod, and you guys are polite. You work hard with enthusiasm, and it looks great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andy, just wondering, I live out in Hidden Falls, and we've had the drip irrigation, sometimes we'll run across the sidewalk for 2-3 days, and it doesn't dry up until the third day maybe. It seems that the water is flowing, you can see it. I was just wondering if we should put in a work order for that, or are you aware of that problem? Because it covers 3 houses.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely put in a work order for that. If it's running more than one day, and we haven't had any rainfall, that's gonna give us the idea that it's a stuck valve, and that's why it's leaking over. It's not designed to do that. It's supposed to go into the mulch, get everything wet, and then dry and not see it.
Okay.
I think you guys are raising your hand across the room.
Once you move, I waited till you got over there so you could get some extra steps in today. A question about sod. And I know right now with the lack of rain, it's probably not the best time, but we've kind of been waiting since May of 2016. One side of our home, sod was replaced, but then, and I forget the guy's name, he was with Down to Earth, but he said we had sedge bugs, we had bad sod, it should have been replaced. We're still waiting on replacement.
What's your address?
189 Shell.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, that doesn't ring a bell in my ears, so I don't know. We'll have to come out and take a look at it before we can give you an idea of when it can be replaced and what needs to be done to correct the problem.
Well, and now it's kind of changed because now they're saying there's so much shade there, it requires something else.
Yeah, we'll come out, we'll take a look at it. I don't want to give you an answer and not be able to see what the conditions are.
My name's Anna Bramwell, and I wasn't aware that you all have only been here for like a couple months. I've been a resident of this community since like the very beginning. And something has happened that for the first time in 15 years, and you all corrected it in this last week. But I live in a fourplex, and my neighbor beside me died in April. My neighbor on the other side was gone. We have a home in another state. We are Florida residents here, but we do leave, and we leave for months on end. When we came back for the first time in 15 years, my neighbors on both sides of us and us had weeds up to our waste. We had a neighbor that, and then on the other side, Dick Dykeman's looked like kudzu, you know, the stuff that grows on the interstate, you know? It looked like kudzu had taken over his shrubs. It's all been taken care of this week, but what my point is, for anybody that leaves for months on end, don't neglect the people that aren't there. Just because we don't come out and say hi, or you know that the doors are down, or the patio furniture is moved up, please continue to pull the weeds. Understand you all did not create this problem, and you're trying to rectify it, and I thank you very much for this past week that you've gotten what you've gotten done. So just for future reference.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry for, if anything like that had happened. We are putting in a process to allow these things to not be missed. It can happen, but we're trying to put in a process where it doesn't happen in the future.
Hi, I'm Harriet Gambos. This way? Okay, sorry. I live on 335 Mystic Falls. I did put in a work order about a month ago to have weeding done, trimming done. My house seems to be neglected a lot. I've noticed several of our homes on our block are being neglected. And I ended up doing it myself because I just couldn't even get in and out of my door. I have pictures on my phone that I just took. I did put a work order in. Willie did come out and check the irrigation. He says my irrigation works, but I never hear or see my sprinklers go off. And the thing is, when I moved here last September, weekly we were being trimmed, we were being edged, and I saw sprinklers going on. Now I don't know what's going on. And even though manually they're being turned on, I don't know if the system is turning on like a regular basis. So I have taken pictures. Now a work order did go in. I did get a response today that they were out there, but Willie was out there, but none of the trimming was done.
No, my response was, we're on Mystic Falls, and we're
Right.
going down the street, and we'll get everything done on Mystic Falls so we move to the next
But
area.
I would like you to see my pictures, because I just don't think that it should ever have gotten to this point. So I'm not sure what's happening. Why are they not coming across and trimming and weeding on a regular basis?
I will tell you, with our schedule of 866 houses, no way we could ever get to every house every week. At best, we can do this every month. That is actually the schedule once a month.
Because they also use some kind of a spray that killed the whole back of this one plant. So
I'll check it out tomorrow.
I'll show you my pictures.
Just to tack on that to what we talked about with the work orders, if you do send in a work order, and I think 10 days is a good timeline, if you don't receive, if nobody contacts you within about a 10-day period, or right at 10 days, please email me with that work order number, and then I will look into it to find out where we're at with that work order. For the first 10 days, and giving them time to take care of the problem, if you send it to me, I'm gonna see where it's at in the process and kind of hold out. But when we hit that 10-day mark, that's when I'm gonna reach out to him.
It's me again. I think that we may not all have the complete description of what weeding entails. How far does it go? What are we sort of responsible for? Because again, we want Cadillac service, but that's going to cost a lot more than we're paying now.
Well, I don't mind weeding a little bit, but we're talking about the weeds this way, we're talking about waste management. That's not something we should be focusing on.
Okay, so my question is, my name is Sina, we live on the Loop. We've replaced our sod in the front area of our home 5 times out of our own pocket. So it's been a combination of Roundup, but mostly that the irrigation system has not worked on our side of the Loop since we've been here. So we're going on 5 years. So what can we do as homeowners to talk to our BOD to get this irrigation system up to par?
I apologize about this, first of all. And has there been work orders in previous times turned in?
Yes, but that was long before you.
That was long before,
Before
okay.
you guys were here.
I'll take your address and,
Ralph has spent, thank you, Ralph. Ralph's been out to the house, I think 3 times now.
okay,
Yeah, but if you would take my address to make sure that there's no side.
yep. Which is,
But really, for us, it's the lack of water.
What's your address?
which is,
What's your address?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's 5437
Sunset.
Sunset Falls. You guys can all come over.
okay.
There's a lot of, is there something we can do?
At the moment, like I mentioned, we brought in experts to, help diagnose the system due to the advance of the controllers that you guys have in place right now. From what we got back for information, there is a lot of zones that have been down, and we haven't had full potential of backup and irrigation in previous times, but we do have it now. So this is something that we are working along with the HOA. They're fully aware of all the areas that are down. I would have to check on your address to verify if this is just some of the actual components that are down from the information that we actually took back. Yep, that's what it is. It's part of the issues that we have.
And it's been that way for, I know it's not your fault, but it's been that way for.
And that's another thing we're trying to focus on is on the older issues that have been prolonged for so long. Those are the ones that we want to present to the HOA with a method of resolving this as
I'm
possible.
assuming my sprinklers are not going on that often, because my drip lines in the back are not going on.
Okay.
Is that right? Am I right?
I would have to verify that, make sure that
Are those 2 separate systems?
those are 2 separate systems.
Okay, because my beds are completely dry and we've been watering them back in.
Okay, I'll make sure to go out there tomorrow and basically check everything for you and just determine if this is something that will need more than just, going just through your system, but also might involve the entire section of the community in that portion.
And because the Roundup just gets sprayed kind of recklessly, what can we do about that? I know, Ralph, you and I talked about it, I know it's a complex problem.
Yeah, I'm working on training with those folks.
That'd be
So that's
great.
eliminated.
That would be great.
Yes.
I want to go back to something that was said at the beginning of the meeting and make sure I understood. Did I interpret correctly that you trim 4 times trim 4 times a year quarterly? Does that mean the resident's property?
No, the 4 times a year was the buffer on the outside of the fence,
What's the schedule for the homeowner's property or shrubs and?
11 to 12 times a year.
Mine hasn't been done for maybe twice the entire year.
Yes, I would like for someone to explain to me why the grass is 1.5 foot tall around all the ponds.
Do you like to?
All right, so basically, they're creating a buffer to kind of help the lake, the nutrients in the lake from, the nitrogen levels are really high, phosphorus levels are really high, so when you trim the grass around the lakes, it gets in and causes organic matter, which can cause algae blooms. So they've created in the property, they've created over time to allow this buffer to grow to help reduce any runoff into the lakes.
It's not very nice to look at.
It wasn't our decision, so.
I think that's,
It was more based on the pond.
Yeah, that area is not, there. We have, the pond and Lake and Pond Committee discusses that, they have no control over that, yeah. And that's why I was, no, they don't have any say in that portion. The pond committee, when they have their discussions, and we're, much like this, there's a huge ordeal going on with the ponds, and welcome back. There's another large project going on with the ponds. Part of the issue is an excessive growth of silt, and that is discussed in that pond committee. It's another, as long as this meeting, no control over it. They mow it, but they're told how to mow that.
By the pond committee.
Well, by the aquatics. We won't get, we're not pond committee. Sorry, that's another whole other issue.
Pond committee, how to take care of it?
Okay, guys, because it's a health matter. It's a huge important discussion.
This is directed to John or Ralph. John or Ralph. Just out of curiosity, and far from a complaint, but I'm just kind of curious about staffing and manpower and that type of thing. When you run afoul of Mother Nature, you have backup plans in terms of staffing, that type of thing. Albeit, granted, you work a lot of hours and they work very diligent, very hard, if you could address that.
I can address, I got in trouble for the last 3 months in a row for having extra people working overtime every day. I mean, it's the truth. John gave me a criteria where we could go when we went to the max. We've actually had extra person out here the whole time. When we got behind in trimming, we actually had crews come up from Naples and work Saturday, several weeks in a row. We've worked almost every Saturday since I've been here, since July 1st. So the plan in place is we try to make up the time. If it rains tomorrow, we're going to be here on Saturday. So we do whatever it takes to keep that schedule.
I'd like to excuse me. I'd like to address the bigger picture here. We have a crew which is working hard, but we have a team which is new. Nobody on your team has institutional history. And that's the bigger problem that we have here, is new people come in, new ideas come in, and nothing is consistent. And that's, I don't see it as being your problem. I see it as being the big boys' problem.
Well, only one thing in my favor. I was here 15 years ago when they broke ground. I was actually the superintendent. Whether people like the design or not, we didn't design it, but I was here for over the first 3 years till Syntex went under and Pulte took over. So I know this property like the back of my hand.
I have another question. Do we have an alternative to Roundup that would just kill weeds and not kill the plants and the sod? And my other question is, Ralph, I talked to you about this. Are we getting anywhere with the board working on the people that, like ourselves, that take care of our own trimming and weeding and having the sticker out there so the crew doesn't come through and...
I'll let John answer the first question about Roundup. The second question.
I think Jason.
Jason can answer.
That's right, either one of us can answer that. As far as, there was a lot of information put out on the Roundup. There's a lot of information and misinformation that's out there. All we can say is currently, the information that's out there, and this is from the University of Florida, this is from University of South Carolina, this is from some of the biggest people in the state as far as the chemicals and treatment of weeds and everything else that's concerned. Roundup is the best product on the market and the safest of the market, the level of product on the market. And until there is information that says otherwise from a reliable source, we are not going to make a change from it, because if we make a change to something that could be worse, right now the University of Florida says it's good, that's what we're going to go with.
Yeah,
Well, that's training. That's on what he said earlier. That's training. And making sure they spray properly. That's a training. And then you had the other question regarding the stickers, which.
I think they have a board working on that.
Yeah,
That's beyond us.
That's something between the board and the covenants, having a covenant issue with putting flags in a yard or something. So they're trying to find a method that we can use that will better.
That would be better than running out in the street.
Yes, we're trying to find somewhere between a little reflector and you doing that, something in the middle that would be better. So.
I just want to address the buffer around the ponds. This was a decision that the board took on the recommendation of a whole group of people that looked into different committees. And the purpose is very simple. We are having runoff of fertilizer into the pond. And that is intended to be a buffer to stop that. At the same time, it's also there to protect the workers who are going around trying to mow the grass. The University of Florida has very clearly, they recommend a 10-foot buffer around all waterways. We don't have 10 feet. We have a smaller portion. And as far as the maintenance is concerned, I understand that this is on a rotational basis. It's on a every 4 week. What is the cycle that
4 to 5 weeks.
And so why aren't they complaining that it looks bad?
Because I think a lot of people don't like the look. Aesthetically, it doesn't look good.
Wait, wait just a minute. It doesn't look good. So how would you like it to look?
Like everybody else's pond. We're the only ones that have that around the pond.
Well, shame on them.
And I appreciate Harold's.
Ron Rosenblatt, I'm co-chair of the pond committee. What happened previously, before Down to Earth was here, they mowed straight down to the edge of the pond. 3/4 of the grass clippings went in the water. Doesn't matter, algae. All right, we recommended that, we don't want we told them, do it the other way. It's not always done. The wind blows it, the rain drags it in, whatnot. In any case, you're gonna get algae, and you get algae blooms, especially in the summer. It's brutal. I know it looks ugly, but there is a plan in place. Eventually, we don't have the money to do it. We want to put ground cover around the edge of every single pond. So it grows, it looks nice, it's not weeds, and that'll be the buffer for the time being. It should not be more than, 12 inches, Jason? If it's higher than that, then it's wrong. And it is ugly, it is weeds. But, no, I understand, I'm on the water too. But this is something the board, and I support it. Because we do monthly pond inspections, and in the summer, it's brutal. You got to look at Canal 7. It's full of algae. And most of the others are around the border, it's full of algae. And it's an ongoing effort. It's horrible, but that's the nature of Florida. Well, for those of you, I don't want to really get into it, but Pond Aid is a big problem. They're going to supposedly start working on it next month.
When's your meeting? Is it open?
Yes, our meetings are open.
I would just like to follow up on the situation that we're speaking about regarding the pumps and the algae in the lake. Excuse me? All right.
Let's just have one conversation, okay?
All right, sorry about that. Again, I would just like to add on to what we're speaking about regarding having this buffer on these lakes. It is actually extremely beneficial for not just the lakes and the environment, also for the irrigation system, which are the components that irrigate your homes. A lot of the issues that we have are due to the algae, which is Bryozoa, like you mentioned, during the summertime. It's a crazy bacteria that tends to grow, and it's sucked into the actual intakes of the pump station, which affects your filtration system in the pump, and it also affects the mainline system, the components, and your valves, which are the actual control valves sitting at your backyard or at your doorstep. These valves get clogged up. The reason why we have zones get stuck on, if zones run excessively, and it becomes a major issue. It's a burden onto maintenance, because now we have to get more people to back it up as far as doing more maintenance out in the field. That affects you as the homeowners, because now we have to do more maintenance and be more in depth in detail with as far as not just cleaning out your valves, but now we have to go out and clean out your nozzles, undo your drip lines, dig them up, flush them out. It's a major issue. So by having a little bit of grass growing around, it's in the long run very beneficial. Unfortunately, it is an eyesore, but it's something that I think we all should appreciate, because it's leading towards narrowing down the algae that's a major concern in this community. And not just here, it's also being addressed and implemented in all the other communities throughout South Florida.
Hi, I'm Rich Schmidt. I live on Cedar Falls Drive. I've been in the community for about 3.5 years, and I just want to make a general observation. This is the worst conditions that I've seen in our landscape since I lived here. I'm not alone in that, and I'm not looking to point fingers or blame people. I know we've had weather issues, we talked about staffing issues, and now we have everybody's new. But I just want to let you know that you have two problems to tackle here. Number one is physical job of getting the community back the way it was and the way we want it to be. And the second one is to get the confidence of the community. There are about 100 people here, and some people think you're doing a good job, and some people have specific problems. But there are probably 12 or 1,300 other people in this community, and many of them have given up. They don't think it's going to get better. And some people, and I'll end with this, believe that your latest initiative to improve conditions is only because your contract is coming up and you want to keep your contract. Thank you.
This question is for Oz. My name is Jan. I'm really new here. I've only been here about 3 weeks. But what I've asked many people, and I never get a good answer. Everybody says, don't worry about it. It's working. It's fine. How do you evaluate the irrigation systems yourself to know if they really are working, or if there's damage, or if our systems need repaired? Because like I said, I've only been here 3 weeks, but I've never seen anything get gone in my yard.
Okay. This is a group effort. Again, yes, we're all new here, but just to help on our behalf as far as who we are here, and we're proposing this new down to earth. I've been a part of the infrastructure side of things as far as developing communities. I've been a part of Dearborn and Lennard, South Morriston, and so on and so on. I've designed over 100 alongside with Landscape Company. And my latest project was the Atlanta Breaks, which we completed within an 8-month period, which is down in Venice. Getting back to you, and your answer for this is we have a vast amount of techs now that we're actually helping out. And to take on your question, we have Logan here who actually addressed the issues and was physically out in the field for more than a few weeks out here. And if you want to follow up.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Oz mentioned previously, you guys have a pretty high-tech system that was designed for a golf course. Unfortunately, it was never organized in the way a typical golf course would be organized. So you have a lot of capability with your control system and all the components of your irrigation system. But like we've mentioned, it's approaching 14 years old. And typically these components that are installed have about a 10+ year lifespan. So a lot of the issues that we're coming across are just the fact that the system has been in for quite a long period of time. We have a lot of wiring issues that aren't making a good enough connection that it should be. So what we've been doing is through that control systems that's pretty high tech, we've got in and pulled a lot of reports that gives us an actual layout of everything that's working and everything that's not working. So as of right now, we know everything that's not working and everything that is working. We have extra techs in the field that are hand watering the stuff that we know are not working. And we're developing a plan of action with the HOA to come in and replace a lot of these components that are having issues. So over the next few weeks, we should have the entire system addressed and start implementing that plan of action. And we're also hoping to get a master irrigation schedule that we'll share with the HOA that will then be transferred to you guys so you know when things should be running and when they shouldn't. So we'll be in a lot better point here in the next month or so, but as of right now, we're addressing it, and it's like 800 zones across the entire community, so it just takes a good amount of time to go to each individual one and address the wiring issues there. And we're in that process, and over the next few weeks, we should be in a better spot.
So are you physically coming to the property and checking the lines and the sprinkler system?
Yeah, one at a time as we go down the list of things that we know aren't making a connection.
So then how do you, this is what I'm trying to figure out. How do you know that that system isn't working? Is there a way to force the water, or?
Look, what Jan, I think what he's trying to say is that the irrigation timer tells us. It tells us what zones are working and are not working. So if we already know your zone is not working, we don't have to go there and physically look at that. We already have that information from the electronic timer.
So it's computerized?
Yes, it's computerized. It tells us that.
And luckily, it is a very advanced system, and that's the reason we have those capabilities. But that's something that Oz and I are having to, learn and understand the entire system, which is we're at a pretty good point now. But now the next step is just to go through and individually address every single one of those issues.
Now, did you let everybody know that their system isn't working?
That's still in the process. Like, I think we have a meeting tomorrow to address some of these things with the HOA, so we haven't quite got to, telling every single individual homeowner that your system isn't working, but here in the next few weeks, we'll definitely,
Thank you.
And something too to add on to that is the on-site tech does go around and inspect each zone. Right now, since there are some that are down, so some of the zones that are down, he has been going around and turning them on manually to keep the grass alive in the meantime until the decoders or the lines can be fixed. But he does go around and inspect each system or each zone on a monthly basis to make sure all heads are popping up correctly, they're spraying, there's no clogged nozzles, no broken lines, make sure everything's getting covered so you don't lose material.
Thank you.
But, well, I just wanted to kind of reiterate on that. So I'm told that it's all working, but that doesn't mean that it's working from the computer.
Correct. There's a possibility.
Right. So
That's what I'm thinking is happening.
The vast majority of the issues with the irrigation system are all electronic, computerized issues in the wiring and the computerized decoders that tell every zombie whether to turn on or turn off. That's where the vast majority of issues are. It's not hydraulic issues with broken heads or valves. It's electronic issues that we're having the most difficulty with. And in the age of the system, and those parts and those electronics are becoming more and more, to simplify it, become more and more corroded where they're shorting out in the field.
Yeah, so weather, when it rains heavily, it doesn't really help this because of the corrosion. And I think some of the wire connectors, when it was first installed, those were to code, but now, going forward, there are new regulations on what types of wire connections you should have. And Oz and them are doing the new connections, which are going to help prolong the system a lot longer. But as of right now, we're running the corrosion issues with the copper wire inside.
There are two really big issues facing this community and every other community. It's called weather, because what's happened this year might be the new normal. And the other one is this community is aging. Not the residents, we're all getting younger. But the buildings, the systems, the grass, the trees, everything is aging and everything has a lifespan. And so I think we have to realize, take into account, and possibly pay for what has been aging, and also come up with new modalities for the changing weather that we're experiencing. Thank you.
They keep alluding to the fact that they've talked to the HOA about the issues with the sprinkler system, and many people may not understand what he means by that, and that's exactly what she was saying, is they're providing a report of all the areas that are aging and need to be replaced. That a replacement of that is going to be cost money, a lot of it. So what the board has to do next is look at that and look at how we can replace those systems, if we can do it segmented, if we can do it all at once, or if we can do it segmented, or how we can work through that so that all those systems get replaced and not affect your annual dues in such a major way that it just becomes uncomfortable to live here. The monthly maintenance fees are what they are. The more, when we have to do replacements like this, we're fortunate that we have systems of reserve accounts that we can pay for that from, but when you drain those reserve funds, you have to replenish them. That replenishment, if we do this all at once, could affect you. If we can find a way to repair this in a segmented way to where it doesn't affect our current reserve balances, that's the way we need to do it. But that's something that the board needs to review. We have to get the full report so we know what the cost of this is going to be, so we can see how it's going to affect the long-term financials. Yeah, we can look at 5606, where is it? Sunset?
Sunset, yes.
Yeah, 5606 Sunset, so if we could just take a peek at it.
Yeah, just for the short term, for people who don't have the wire, are you saying that you're going around inspecting and someone will turn it on periodically?
What we're doing is we have a list of what we know that's working. And know what's working, so we know what's not working. So yes, we are going around to every zone that's not working and turning them all manually.
How often might we expect that?
Pardon me?
How often might we expect someone to come by?
I would think the most we're gonna get is twice a week, but that's the most we're allowed by code anyways.
So if we sent in a work order and we told someone was gonna come and turn it on and it wasn't turned on, should we send in another work order?
Just give me your address right now.
That's 372 Cedar Wall.
I will say Cedar is 100% down. It is one of the.
I know that's what you told me at the beginning of the week.
Let you know.
But the guy never came.
He'll be there tomorrow. I got my other guy watering right now.
Add 326 Mystic to your sprinkler list.
Mystic?
Mystic 326. Does anyone else have anything that's non-single, individual home related? I hope I'm doing that on purpose to annoy you. I'm going to let Ms. Mooney, one of the board members, talk, and then I think this will be our last question. If anybody does have any individual issues, as I said earlier, if you send in a work order and you don't get a response, email me directly. I can get with them. Once you have that in, you'll get a number on there. It's a issue number. That's the issue number that we're able to track it from.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the effort you have made this year. Like this other lady said, we have had a lot of challenges with the weather. So I know I wouldn't have wanted to be there when it was lightning, for instance. So you did great keeping it up. On the other hand, I know that we still had issues and you did make every effort to resolve them. So we look forward to your continued effort to get caught up on things. My house doesn't sprinkle either, but it's green, so I'm assuming it's happening at midnight when I'm already asleep. So thank you again for your efforts.
If you're leaving, just be safe. The roads are still wet. I'm sure the areas are still wet.
Thank you all very much. We appreciate the feedback, and it's just going to help us get better at what we do.